Hello?
Hey, what's up?
I don't remember what I was talking about. Like lightweight foundations, dog eclipse. Ah, my boo bitches. What is up, my dudes? Welcome back. It is the video I'm finally sharing with you guys. My best of the best of the year, and it has been a long deliberation. I have been back in the weeds of trying and retrying all of my makeup. There are so many things that I reviewed this year that I literally couldn't remember what was like the best. You know what I mean? Like there were so many things that were good, but what was the best? And I do know that a lot of you guys have been hoping that this isn't just an end of the year roundup, but that I will also provide some of my kind of holy grails if for whatever reason one category is still superseded by something that I tried previous to this year. So if certain categories are still dominated by things that I tried prior to this year, I'm still going to let you know that. So without further ado, guys, let's jump in. Okay, so I'm going to go in order of how you put things on your face. So I will probably put timestamps down below for each category, but in case you're curious, it's gonna be in the order that you would put them on your face. So we're gonna start with primers. Actually, we talked about skincare in my last video, and we left off at that routine at like sunscreen. Then I stopped short of like mentioning this because I consider this to be technically makeup because it does have a pretty good amount of coverage to it. So this is the Drunk Elephant Umber Tint Daily Defense SPF 30, and it is the tinted version. And if you remember early this year, I was so ultra obsessed with this. When I first discovered Drunk Elephant, this was in the second version of the littles, I want to say. No, I think it was actually in both. And I used both of those samples up like crazy. I was obsessed with this because it has the most amazing texture to it. When you put this on your face, it just hides all your imperfections. It's a universal shade of bronze that, I don't know, some people say is too like orange or gold for them, but it's just right for making me look a little bit bronzer than I am. And if you have much deeper skin tones, then like you probably won't even notice it as a tint anyway. But it is great for me when I'm just trying to get a little bit of glow in the summertime. Right now I got my winter skin. But the other thing about this and why Warren's mentioning in this category is because it is kind of the primer of life. It sort of ruined a couple of my wear tests because they just turned out flawless, regardless of the actual foundation, because I put this on as my sunscreen underneath, and it makes things really budge proof. It's a fantastic formula. It's a really, really good product. So we have one for each category other than that. So from a smoothing, blurring standpoint, we have the Tatcha the Silk Canvas. I have used the daylights out of this. This is not a product that I've like discovered this year necessarily, but it's something that came back into use for me. And it is fantastic for not just kind of blurring pores and doing what you would use like, you know, Benefit the Professional for, except Benefit the Professional breaks me out like crazy, like instantly. This does have silicone-y kind of things in it the same way. For whatever reason, it doesn't break me out. It is clean at Sephora. And it's supposed to also keep your makeup from seeping into your actual skin. So it's like a protective barrier between you and your makeup that's supposed to also help you not break out. I really like this a lot. It lasts so long. I should probably throw this out. Ew, yeah, this is definitely expired. Moving on. Okay, so this is a recent love and favorite, but it actually does make a big difference. This is a gripping primer. So I would say that the Umber tint is closer to a gripping primer than a smoothing primer, but it's a little bit of both. But the Milk Hydro Grip is definitely the keep it on your face exactly where you put it kind of reliable primer. And other than the effects of it, I don't notice it, which I really, really like. And I finally realized that between this and the Milk Foundation, that wasn't what was breaking me out. It was the fact that I had stopped using Mother Dirt. That was why I was breaking out. So no shade on this. And finally, in the primer category, I really can't say enough about the Eye Lift 360 Degree Waterproof Primer from Thrive Causemetics. You guys have been asking for my recommendation on an eyeshadow primer for the longest time. I just didn't have one. There was not one that I really relied upon, and this one really works. You see so much more color payoff when you use this. You only need a little bit because you can, I mean, this is very, very blurring, so it can kind of freeze up and gum up on you if you use too much, just like anything like in a primer category, so be careful with that. But that's good news, you know, less is more. And this works as an everything primer for, you know, mainly for like spot treatments in smaller areas. So underneath your eyes or a stubborn zit or something like that, this will keep the makeup on it all day, and it is waterproof. Also, it has like actual lifting properties, so you will see it just sort of like, you know, give your eyes like a lifted look if you use it. Just can't say enough about it. I love Thrive for making products that do like 50 things at once. Okay, so next category, and this is the most deep and wide category. I feel like we eased in on the primers. This is the one where I've got lots of subcategories because there's just so many different nuances to discuss. So this is complexion products. We're gonna be talking about foundations, concealers, and powders. And boy, have I got some caveats, y'all. So let's start off with the Kosas here. Now, I did not try Kosas for the first time this year. I think I tried it for the first time in 2018. It is one of those very popular, well-known clean beauty hot takes on makeup. It is mineral pigments suspended in some healthy carrier oils, and it has friends in the area. The Josie Maran Argan Oil one, and also this little guy right here from Vapor, the Velvet Glow Foundation. This is the one that I prefer based on coverage and ingredients. So the Josie Maran is just too greasy. I did actually do a side-by-side wear test of them. They're very, very nuanced, but I still prefer this one. And the Vapor is just, it doesn't have very good ingredients in my opinion. So I know that this is not new and that might be disappointing for some of you, but I also know that there's a whole group of you who really don't care about the other more coverage-based foundations that I'm about to share. And I just wanted you guys to know where I fall on that. I'm still with Kosas. Now, you do need to understand if you're new to the whole Kosas thing, don't expect this to behave like regular makeup. It doesn't. It won't really dry down. Like, it's going to be touchable, movable, a texture on your face all day long, but it's lightweight and it's pretty, and if you move it, you're not gonna have some big disruption that's super obvious. It is what I like to call mommy with no mirror in the parent drop-off area in the morning needing to put some kind of blurring situation on her face. Like, you can do this in 3 seconds with no mirror. It really, really is that easy. And as long as you get the right shade, there are a lot of shades, definitely get shade matched. But yeah, that is what this is for. Do not expect it to cooperate with like a concealer. It won't. Do not expect this to hold powder. It won't. Like, it just doesn't really want to cooperate with most things. Like, if you're gonna put a cream product down on top of it, it's gonna push it out of the way. And don't put it on top of like anything that has a silicone in it because it'll make it like roll off your face. It is meant to be used on top of very specific products in very specific situations. Some people absolutely love it. It just doesn't really fit into my life, but if I have to go this route, this is the one that I'm gonna choose. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say, the way that I've been wearing my makeup lately and sort of this year has been as easy as possible. I try to go for more of a like a blurred canvas more than a like high coverage canvas. I like to play when I do my videos and stuff, and so I will do like full coverage because it looks nice on camera. Regardless, what I've actually been wearing the most in my life and what I have on my face right now, and especially for a medium coverage just thing you can throw on that has the most versatile wear, is the Daily Correct CC cream from Supergoop. I have this in Fair Light here, and it is my winter shade, and then I have it in light, and that is what I wear in the summertime, and then I will just like conceal over it, and it actually will build to full coverage, which is crazy. Those mineral pigments are so blurring and beautiful. And if I use like the Cover FX or something like that, the concealer on top of it, I can pull light back out of it. It gives me this beautiful contour, makes me look really freaking tan and glowy. And I love that there are those options. Now, the little birdie told me that they're actually expanding this shade range in 2020, so keep an eye out for that. But honestly, just today, someone asked me for my recommendation on something that was, you know, medium coverage, easy, put it on with your hands kind of thing. Yes, absolutely. But also my sister wants something that's just like a CC that she can wear cream products on top of and an eye look. Still this. Like, I'm wearing it right now and it dries down enough on its own that I feel comfortable using like a powder highlight on top of it without powdering it. It can carry powder, it can carry concealer, it will behave like a foundation, but it dries down enough on its own that you don't have to powder it and you can wear it with cream colors like I'm wearing right now. So this is honestly my favorite foundation that I've used this year, and it's not even technically a foundation. I'm just going on practicality and like what I've worked my way through the most. It's been this. It's just the easiest choice and the most versatile choice and the one that wears the most beautifully every single day. Plus, it's got actual practical SPF 35 in it. I still wear sunscreen with it, but it's titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, 2% and 20% respectively. Like, it's real sunscreen. It really works, and especially when you build that light shade up to full coverage, you're getting an actual physical barrier against the sun, so I love that. And for those of you who are not interested in all of the like light skin tints and the medium coverage and everything, I have a couple of new guys and then I have sort of like a recap. So a lot of you guys are like, are you still on the Ilia? The Ilia True Skin Serum Foundation is still one of my most favorite foundations. I've just gotten away from wearing this coverage level. This is pretty freaking high coverage and it just feels fragile on my face. It doesn't have that kind of invincibility to it that I really enjoy if I'm going to wear something with that much coverage. I still want it to be able to flex with my face. But the other weird thing is I get so much feedback. This is literally the only product that I get feedback from people all the time where it's like 50-50. Some people are like, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever used. Thank you so much for recommending it to me. And then the other half is people telling me, I don't understand what you like about this. This doesn't work on my skin. It's terrible. What were you thinking? And I'm like, whoa. So that's what makes me leery about recommending this, is because I feel like it's like extremely specific to my skin type because I've never had a problem with it. And it's got a little dimethicone in it. It just has its own dry down. I can wear it in a lot of different instances, but a lot of people feel completely opposite about it. And so, yeah. This is definitely not from this year. I just wanted to mention it. And the other two, when it comes to full coverage, these are not technically clean, but they get okay marks on Skin Charisma. This gets a fantastic score on Skin Charisma, and this gets like an 89 or something, but these are recent loves of mine, and they're great for full coverage. So this is the Milk Flex Stick. I'm actually totally digging this. I find it works better either with a very lightweight powder or no powder. I just think that it's prettier in its like flex form without that, but this comes in a lot of shades, so that is awesome. And also, I really like the Hourglass Vanish Stick if you don't have a problem with octinoxate. So I have a little bit of a chemical sunscreen sensitivity to my face, so it's like I have to be really careful when I wear this, but like I still had to mention this because it is the most beautiful foundation that I have ever used on my face. Like, I don't understand how it's so pretty. I don't get it. You can blend this out to any coverage that you want. Like, the Milk is comfortable at full coverage. If you try and blend it out any further than that, it gets unhappy. It'll build on itself a little bit, but it just has a very, very happy coverage level that it likes to stay at. This, you can do whatever you want with it. I don't understand what kind of voodoo they put in this package, but this stuff is miraculous. And I wish that I didn't have that specific chemical sunscreen sensitivity because I can't wear something like this every single day. Not that I would, it's full coverage. So it is an occasion kind of foundation for me. But yes, those two weren't mentioning too. So I will say, and this is something that I have iterated quite a lot, when it comes to clean beauty and my journey on clean beauty, foundations, concealers, complexion products have been the hardest thing. There are just so many variables and stabilizers and things that have to be put in products that are liquid at room temperature, and I do tend to, the more coverage that I get, the more coverage that I want out of a product, I do tend to prefer something that's solid at room temperature. I feel like it behaves better without as many stabilizers, and that is the case with those two. But that brings me to this because it is like the bridge, the liaison of my favorite between the foundation and the concealer categories because it's technically both. So this is, it's got a big old dent in it, the Westman Atelier Vital Skin Foundation Stick, and I have it in Atelier 0, and I cannot say enough about it. I do still love Cure Wise, but I ran out of it and just haven't been motivated to buy it again, so like, I don't know, you know, do I really want to buy another $50 pan of makeup? Not at the moment, I don't need it. But this has lasted me so much longer than the Cure Wise because you apply this with a brush and the gentlest touch ever. It doesn't want to go to full coverage. It just wants to blend into your skin where you need it and be completely undetectable where you don't. It cooperates with a lightweight CC cream, but you can also wear it with a powder, not that I necessarily would. I brought this on my honeymoon and I wore it just with the Drunk Elephant Umbra tint. And I had like the tiniest bag of makeup because this is just so easy. You just take it on a little stubby brush and it just absolutely effortlessly blends right on top of anything that you want to cover or blend, and it is a very highly concentrated formula in terms of pigmentation. So, you know, a lot of people ask me, they're like, you know, the Westman Atelier, like, how do you feel about that in comparison to like the Milk Stick? They're completely different. This is not something that I would spread all over my face. I've done it before. It is not its best use case. It really just wants to be used the way that Gucci Westman uses it in the tutorials that she does, where she just lightly whispers it onto the skin because it's so highly pigmented, you need almost none of it. And so truly, it is so worth the investment because you hardly need any of it. It will last you ages. That was actually far more painless than I thought it was going to be. Let's talk about concealer, shall we? So I've got 3 concealers here. I'm gonna get this one out of the way real quick. Another one that's very controversial. I just discovered this, but I have not encountered a concealer that does this ever. So this is the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer. It could say 100% on skin charisma in terms of low risk. So it might not be a, you know, claiming to be a clean product, but apparently the ingredients are pretty good. And I was so impressed with this, and I continue to be so impressed with this when it comes to a full coverage, long wear concealer. So many people reached out to me. Granted, I don't feel too bad because this is $6. I didn't make anybody break the bank, but a lot of people with, you know, they said they had more mature skin, things like that, reached out to me and they were like, this was terrible. I don't understand what you liked about it. It is so crepey and crusty underneath my eyes. I do moisturize the heck out of my under eyes, and I tend to use that Becca like castor oil color cancellation stuff underneath my eyes. So it probably helped prime my skin for something like this because it dries down so fast. But I've also gotten feedback from a lot of you guys being like, that stuff is my holy grail. And I totally agree, and it does come in a crap ton of shades, and it's $6, okay? So following my Westman Atelier recommendation, I'm trying to cover the gamut here, guys. And I guess we'll just move backwards in terms of coverage. So the next one, and this is the one that I got the most use out of this year, it was one that I just, you know, tooth and nail. For whatever reason, I was just super resistant about buying this because I was like, cover effects, I don't know, I just don't need that high coverage, blah, blah, blah. And this is their power play, it's supposed to be so high coverage. This is a really beautiful creamy concealer. It is the Power Play Concealer. I have it in N-Light 1, and it's just lovely. It really is. It has just the right amount of dry down, just the right amount of creaminess. And for me, having like pretty, I don't know, just dry skin overall, it doesn't do anything really crepey and dry and annoying underneath my eyes. It still has enough kind of nourishing qualities to it. I think that it's beautiful. It wears a long time, and it doesn't do that thing that I find, like, I don't know, I use the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea, and if I let that dry down and then I try and do my eye makeup, sometimes my eye makeup like brushes will pick that stuff back up. That's why I'm not recommending it, is because it goes down great, but like it picks up so easily, and I don't want that in an under eye concealer. So this has enough flexibility that I feel like you can wear it in a lot of different instances. I've worn it with and without powder. It does have its own dry down, and I think that it's beautiful. CoverFX is probably one of my favorite brands that I like started trying this year. Next, in terms of coverage, and this is such a surprising one, but it was such an instant win for me, the Florence by Mills See You Never Concealer. I have it in the shade, I accidentally bought it in this pale of a shade, in F005, and it is so utterly pale, but for whatever reason, oh my gosh, I don't know, it was like right when I was embracing my paleness for the first time. I had stopped self-tanning, I was really staying out of the sun, I'd just gotten like a chemical peel. I'm telling you, for pale girls like me, this shade is so beautifully brightening, but in any shade that she offers, because there are quite a few of them, and you can go like get yourself swatched at Ulta. They carry them at Ulta. This is such a great hybrid product between brightening and coverage that gives you the option of wearing powder or not wearing powder. I wear this with a full face, full beat, gives me that beautiful brightness underneath my eyes, but I can also wear this just, you know, put it on with my fingers. It has its own nice dry down to it, and I don't have to necessarily powder it, and it will go on pretty like undetectable if you put on a little bit of it with your fingers the way that you would like Glossier. So super versatile, very affordable. I really loved her entire release with the exception of the brow. Like, I really can't say enough about it. And again, it was another one that I like resisted. I was like, oh, that's for teenagers. But like, I really feel like she did so well by her customer. Like, she put out a line that was so appropriate for her customer. The skincare I can do without, but the makeup is really, really considered, and I thought she did a really good job, especially with this concealer. And finally, you know, I just can't not come back to this. I'm wearing it right now. I was doing my makeup today. I actually did my makeup for this video once, and then I was like, it's too heavy. It's not what I want to wear. Like, this isn't how I wear my makeup. I was just trying to put all my favorites on my face at one time. And I ended up going with the Super Goop. And when I was like, what do I want to wear for an under eye concealer? It was still this. This is the Glossy Stretch Concealer. And I just power through this stuff. It's so beautiful. You can wear this with no makeup at all. That's the beauty of this, is it has just the right amount of coverage, but buildability, but mainly blendability, where you just, I don't know, you can put it anywhere. You just tippity tap that anywhere and it's undetectable. It truly is a no makeup kind of look. It disguises imperfections instead of covering them. There's nothing worse to me than feeling like you're in that like slow landslide of putting your makeup on where you're like, I just want to put on a lightweight face of makeup. And then you're just like, well, I gotta put that, oh, well, I just blanked that out. I gotta bring that back. Oh, you know. Ollie's mad. But my point is, this never gets me in that situation. I can just put this on top of sunscreen. No one is the wiser, and I don't feel like it's obvious that I need to put on like a whole bunch of other things. All right, let's round out the complexion products. I don't know, we're gonna move into blushes and bronzers and stuff like that, but I consider this to be rounding out the complexion products. So we're gonna talk about setting powders here. So my first one, and we're gonna kind of move from like the third place to like first place here. So the honorable mention goes to the Ilia Fade Into You Soft Focus Finishing Powder. This is a beautiful powder that I really enjoyed, but it is so good for setting a cream face without having any kind of detectable mattification. That was what made this special to me. I don't recommend using this on a full beat. This does not have the like freezing abilities to make something like really long wearing, but if you need to set something that's like a cream look and you just need to throw something on that's going to not disturb anything, not make the colors look muted down or anything, it's so lightweight and finely milled that I feel like it does have a place in my routine. So the next one on the other end of the spectrum is the Veil Translucent Setting Powder from Hourglass. And when I did my How Clean is Hourglass video, this was the one that came in the lead in terms of just like being totally fine. I mean, she's clean as a whistle. And I love this powder so much. But this is the powder I would consider to be like, I don't know, it calls out certain dewy faces of makeup and makes them matte no matter what. You know, like I put that milk stick on and it's really, really beautiful with other powders. And then when I put this on it, it will kind of over mattify it. And even though I love that in some cases, I really like to have something that I know I can count on to make sure something stays absolutely all day, is like photo ready and beautiful. And I feel like it really belongs in my routine to have something I can count on, but I don't want to wear this like necessarily every single day with every single look. Now, if you're going to buy one powder this year, it's gonna be this. I don't know, if you want my recommendation, I recommend this. This is the thing that I just keep coming back to, and of course I bought the freaking travel size of it, being like, I probably won't like it. I love it, and I need the full size pretty much immediately. So this is the perfect setting powder from Cover FX. Cover FX just absolutely knocked my socks off this year, and this is the most versatile, translucent setting powder. You can put this on top of a full beat and it will set you to the gods. You can put this on top of a lightweight face of makeup and it'll do a pretty stinking good job. It is so unconditional, and from a practical standpoint, it is the one that I have burned through the fastest, so I just know that that means that I loved it the most. So yeah, it's always the one that I'm like, I'm happy I put that on. You know, there are so many instances where I put on a powder and then later in the day I'm like, I regret that powder. And that has never happened with this. I will always like look at myself in the mirror like hours later and I'm like, that wore in nicely. Man, that powder's great, you know? So yeah, Cover FX, home run. Thank you for your patience. It was only 2 seconds for you guys, but it was like 20 minutes for me. I had to take a call and carb up, man. Talk about favorites. I'm unstoppable. Freaking organic Cheetos. So hungry. The next category is powdered cheek products, and we're gonna start with bronzers here. So this was pretty easy. I really didn't try that many bronzers this year. I think it was because A, I found some that I really loved really quickly, and B, pretty much midway through the year, I decided to just like stop bronzing myself for the most part. But anyway, two of them really rose to the top. The first of them being this one. Yes, I'm going to give some love and positive attention to RMS Beauty. I tested out the Savannah Peach collection from RMS about mid-year, something like that. Loved it. Thought it was beautiful. That little swift shadow that it came with was gorgeous. The little eyeliner thing was weird. I didn't really understand how it fit into the... Hi, bud! You gonna come hang out and join us? Whoa! You can't see him. He would like to go break. But it's a little early still. I loved the Savannah Peach collection, but this is the one that really rose to the top. I would be interested to know whether the other ones that you don't have to buy inside of the collection would be a close dupe for this, but this is the Luminizing Powder from RMS Beauty in Scarlet Peach, and it is such a great dupe for my previous love, which not only is not necessarily like that great on ingredients, but also got discontinued anyway, which was my Too Faced Pink Leopard Blushing Bronzer. I haven't said that in a long time. So I wanted a dupe for that because I do think that it's very important when you're doing a full powder face to have a mixing medium between your cheek products. I'm very passionate about cheek products, okay? If you're new to this channel, I'm really into cheek products. Most of the time I put on 5 cheek products. I do a shimmer blush, shimmer bronzer, matte blush, matte bronzer, and then a highlight. And sometimes 2 highlights because I like to have kind of a creamy highlight and then also kind of a sparkly highlight. It's not a problem, it's an opportunity. Yes, this is something that blends so beautifully on the skin when you have a powder look. I mean, it just goes on so dreamy, creamy, beautiful. It's not super intensely pigmented, which is very appealing. You'll find that to be the main thread that runs through my favorite powder cheek products. I'm so pale. I like to have options. I like to be able to build color, and I actually found that I prefer things that don't have so much crazy intense pigmentation that I like, you know, I get someplace I can't get my way out of. So yes, this was absolutely gorgeous. I haven't like finished it or panned it or anything, but it is so completely beautiful. This was what led me to think that I was going to love other powder formulas from RMS. Some of them disappointed me, but this one is just so good, so beautiful. And honestly, I mean, it's dirty. I, obviously loved this quite a lot, but this packaging is gorgeous. I love it. I love this product. The other bronzer being a matte bronzer, this one rose to the top pretty quickly. I was proud of Annie Lawless because she put out, a lot of different products this year. Some of them were hits, some of them were misses, but she put out 2 bronzers. And I liked that she took the opportunity to do a lighter bronzer and a deeper bronzer. So this is the lighter, obviously. For whatever reason, I got one that doesn't have a sticker on the back of it. I don't know, but the shade is called Golden Hour. And I also really like this packaging. It's just a nice white magnetic compact, but I've loved almost everything that I've tried from Lawless within the context of, understanding what her aesthetic is. It's not going to be a lightweight face of makeup, but I like this because it is a true bronzer for medium and pale skin tones. You can really use this to like add warmth to your cheeks. It's not a contour, I wouldn't use it as that, but you can use it on your cheeks as this really beautiful way of making you look flushed and healthy and like sun-kissed. And it doesn't look orange and it doesn't look super brown. It just looks natural, and I really appreciate that about it. And even though it's matte, it still goes on really creamy. I don't feel like it's like skippy or like so ultra pigmented that, again, I'm stuck in a situation I can't get my way out of. Okay, moving on to blushes. Blushes happen to be one of my favorite things in the world. I did try a lot of blushes this year. One of them falls into my wild card category that we will talk about towards the end, but these are the ones that honestly, guys, I have so many. And these are the ones that, yes, they're the most recent purchases that I've made, but also they're my favorites, and I will tell you why. Wait, can you guess? Oh, it's because they don't have as much pigment as the other ones. So this is the Hourglass Ghost Blush Palette, ambient lighting situation. And while I don't love this guy here, this like cherry orangey guy, I need a towel. All the rest of them and this formula made me a believer in the Hourglass ambient lighting blushes. I will probably own both of these at some point in their like full-size pan format because they're just that beautiful. I want to try all their blushes, I just love this formula because it goes on so smoothly. It actually blurs where you put it on your skin, and it's very evenly pigmented. You can put it on and have fun with it and enjoy it and mix colors and things like that, and it just doesn't look like too much too fast. And the same thing with the Patrick Ta. This is another one where I just want to try every single shade in it. I did end up getting it in She's Seductive, which is sort of this like deep tan kind of like mauvey color, but it goes on the skin just kind of like a cool toned rose. And it's fine on me, and I love this so much. You dip the brush into this and it picks up just the right amount of pigment. So in contrast, if you're like having trouble recalling other things that I tried this year in terms of powder blushes, the other ones were like, for a while I was working with the Cover FX Duo, that one that just sells out all the time. It had the potential to be the greatest thing for my routine because what? It's a shimmer blush and a matte blush. You could see both of them fitting into my routine. I could not get the matte blush to go on evenly because it's so ultra pigmented. It was just like no going back. And the shimmer was fine, but like it just wasn't really enough for me to like really love that product as much as I have loved these instantly. Also, the Kosas blushes, they're very, very beautiful. And it kind of occurred to me that you really should mix the highlight with the blush, and that will give you like a much softer look on the cheeks instead of using just the blush on its own. But why? Like, why not just make it a really good blush on its own? And also because, and I want to say, we don't really know the science behind it yet, but I want to say it is Carmine that does this. It just makes little red dots on my face, especially the Papaya 1972. Like, I'll look at myself in the mirror, like not even 2 hours later, and I just had these weird, they look like someone splattered me with like marker or Kool-Aid or something. They're just these bright red dots. I just think that that's kind of a deal breaker, especially for like an expensive product. Plus a lot of people have like major ethical issues with crushed up beetles in their cosmetics, so I don't blame you. And highlighter wise, this was the one that I said, I was like, this thing has my name written all over it. It's like a neutral champagne color, and it's by Cover FX, and I just know how much I love their other powder formulas, blah, blah, blah. I said, if this isn't my new favorite highlighter, then I'm quitting makeup. Well, luckily, this is my favorite highlighter. I love this so much. I liked the Lawless one that she came out with. It's very pretty and universal, but it's a little gold for my taste. This is the one, especially as I've like grown to love my natural paleness. When I wear a face of makeup that I feel comfortable putting a powder highlighter on top of, this gives me this like beautiful glow that looks so natural. Like it just looks like my skin is happy. It bounces the light off in the right places without ever being glittery where you don't want it to be glittery. I don't mind glittery. I just want to be able to control it. And so I don't want there to be sneaky glitter, no hidden glitter in my highlighter. So this is called Moonlight is the shade, and it is just the easiest, prettiest, just subtlest, creamiest. I love it so much. And this does come in multiple shades if this isn't your particular shade of choice for your skin tone, but the formula itself I cannot recommend highly enough. And all of Cover FX stuff is talc free. All right, and a recent fave that I really cannot not mention because it's just so exceptional and interesting. It is the new Aether Beauty Supernova Crushed Diamond Highlighter, specifically in the pure diamond dust. There is a pink diamond dust it also came out with this collection. This just happens to be the one that I think is so utterly perfect for my skin tone. It is this, God, I mean, look at it. It's like this neutral, gorgeous champagne kind of color, but when it goes on the skin, it's nothing like that Cover FX. It is so similar to the Fenty Diamond Balm in the way that when it goes on the skin, it's just this kind of like wet texture, except that I should say the Fenty Diamond Balm, which I do own, is much grittier than this. This is so smooth. So you do end up with this really beautiful, completely unobtrusive thing on your skin. Like you put it on and it's just fun. Like it's just bonus. And if you are a highlighter girl and you like to have a little bit of fun with your highlight, this is a have fun with your highlight kind of highlighter. It's not for every single day for me necessarily, but like when I want something like this, it's so good to have it around, and it's something that is just so satisfying to put on my face. And I love that she came out with two shades in it. One is definitely like more warm than the other, and I prefer this one. It's slightly cooler. Okay, so those are all of the powder products, short of the wild cards that I'll share in a minute. Let's move on to creams, one of my favorite categories. yeah. I will say I was kind of, like I said, dreading a little bit the Complexion products because I feel like I'm absolutely splitting hairs. There was like the Cover FX and the Ilia, like lightweight foundations, Dog Eclipse, that were so similar, and all of the like mineral foundations that I tried from all of the like ultra squeaky clean brands were so similar. They were like indistinguishable from one another. All those little BBCCs that I tried over the year, like none of them stood out. And so I was like having trouble just kind of like racking my brain and being like, what do I really recommend? But the cream situation is easy. I'm like passionate about this stuff. This is like the cheerful stuff that like sings me to sleep at night, is thinking about like cream blushes and bronzers and stuff. So I'm like excited to talk about this. Let's talk about bronzers first. So I have this little lady, which is a contour, I know, but it is a beautiful cream contour or bronzer, whatever you prefer. I think it's pretty warm for a contour, and it's from Westman Atelier, and I use the absolute daylights out of this, and I've hardly used any of it. That is hilarious. This stuff is so ultra pigmented, and it spreads out so evenly and so beautifully. Like, you hardly need any of it. Like, it looks like I'm lying. It looks like I'm like, oh yeah, love this, use it all the time, and you guys are like, Kackie, that's brand new, you are a liar. Like, no, I use this all the time, right on my face, or like with a brush, and truly, you need so little of it that you go through it so slowly. It makes sense that like this little thing, I mean, I know, it's $50. That's a lot, but still, I mean, it's gonna last absolutely ages. So for a luxury experience, you know, Westman Atelier doesn't do every single thing right, but these cream sticks are absolutely gorgeous. And this thing has become a mainstay in my routine. I like using it even underneath my powder, and then I have to put less bronzer on. It's really nice in that respect too. I feel like it does a really good job of building like a nice warm contour situation before I go in with the rest of my makeup. Now the other bronzer, and a lot of you guys have been requesting that I like review more cream bronzers, and it's just something that I like didn't really get around to this year. I don't know, it just wasn't something that I like felt there was like a hole in my routine for. So I'm like having trouble knowing where to throw this in because it occupies so much room in my favorites this year. This is Kackie G's Salt New York palette. She put the actual magnetic palette out like a year ago, and this year she came out with the Cream Tint Pro, which are these little guys, and they are exquisite, and they've made it into my absolute everyday routine and my like travel makeup situation. They are just indispensable for me, especially because like, yeah, I'm super into cream blushes. So I've got all of them, you know what I mean? Like I've got every color I could need. I've got cream highlights that, I mean, this beige cream highlight is just, oh, it just gives me life. I love it so freaking much. And this contour right here is the only and first true contour that I've ever owned and used. So if you want to compare that, see, it's actually almost panned. That's saying something for me. I don't use anything enough to pan one product, and I have almost panned that contour because it's just so useful to me. So if you compare that against the Westman Atelier that I was just talking about, you will see what I'm talking about when I say, oh, okay, yeah, they want to call that a contour, but in my world, that's a pretty warm contour. This is the Westman Atelier, and this is Kakkie's contour from the Cream Tint Pro. So like this builds such believable shadow on your face while this is still a little bit tan, you know? Like they both work, but this is going to be able to be worn as an illusion. It truly, you can put it on with no other makeup and it just makes you look a little bit more snatched. It's great. I mean, that's great. Who doesn't want that as a superpower? So yeah, that kind of bridges the gap to talking about cream blushes. I did an entire video earlier this year on just cream blushes, best and worst cream blushes, and it is exhaustive. I tried a lot of them, but a few rose to the top now by the end of the year. Now, I love these. These are really good. The rose is probably my favorite. It's the one that I use the most just because it has this really nice like neutral to cool tone to it. So yeah, this is one of my like releases of the year. It's just, as creams go, this really like sits at the top of the category. And it also leads us into the cream blush category. So I've got 3 of them for you here today in various price points. The first being Kosa's Eighth Muse. I sort of rediscovered this when I dyed my hair pink during Libra season because I'm an Aries and I was feeling like I was on fire from the inside out. This is one of the awesomest shades of anything. First of all, Kosas did something very cool this year. This is not one of them, but they came out with a high intensity version of all of their blushes. And I heard that the highlighter is actually different too in them. And that is for people who have deeper skin tones, which is so cool. Or maybe people like me who just want to wear really intense blush. I find this to be enough on my skin. So this, I actually am wearing it right now, but it is such a, oh my gosh, what a pretty color. It's like a, I don't know, like a mauvey rose. It's got a little bit of like a cool tone thing going on. Perfect for winter skin. I can't remember the name of the MAC blush. There's a MAC powder blush that's very similar to this color that I used to love when I was like a teenager. And I just needed to be reminded of like how nice something is when it does lean a little bit cool. It still reads pink, but it just gives you this like different kind of flush. I don't know. It's super beautiful. And the highlights in these are actually really gorgeous too. I just think that it's like egregious sometimes if like you're gonna buy like 5 of these, then you have 5 highlighters. You would have probably rather had 1 highlighter and like full pans of blush, but I digress. I'm not the one designing the makeup, but that is so lovely and I end up using it so often. And unlike a lot like the cloud paint and things like that, my face doesn't eat them. Someone said that about the Juice Beauty one. She was like, I love that, but my face eats it. I think Debbie said that. But there is something to be said for pigment staying true right when you put it on your skin and not, you know, having to come back 5 minutes later and put more on, even though that's what I end up doing anyway because I always think I need more blush. The next one is surprising to no one. It is the Westman Atelier in Petal. I think that the distinction of this one is that it is the most universal shade of pink I think I've ever seen. Like that will look good on everybody. It is just a pink peach rose. It's perfectly neutral. It doesn't have too much peach in it. It doesn't have too much hot pink in it. It isn't too like beigey orange. It is just this like ultimate beautiful English rose kind of pinky color. And I think that Gucci Westman nailed it on that one. I also love the formula. It's just something that blends gorgeously on the skin. As it blends out, you can see there's no white backing there. It's going to work on every skin tone. Again, all of her stuff goes on really beautifully with just like a stipply brush. Can't say enough. I really do wear a full face of Westman Atelier very often. It took me a long time to just admit to myself that just by use case, just by like practical amounts of times that I use any type of makeup, the Westman Atelier always rises to the top for me. And then finally, yeah, I'm only talking about 3 because honestly, everything else was filled in the middle by the Salt New York palette. So the one that really stands out to me, because I think it's really special and I love that it's affordable, is the Florence by Mills. So Florence by Mills, this is the Cheek Me Later cream blush in the shade Gorgeous Gia, and this is an absolute perfect dupe for the Onami in Cruise. So we swatched them side by side. It is perfectly translucent. Again, no white backing, gonna look beautiful on everybody. I wanted to give you guys like a full range of options, you know, something nice and cool toned, something more like universal rosy, and then a berry, because this berry gives you the Nordic child running through the fjords kind of vibe. So this is the kind of blush that I want to put like all the way down on my cheeks here because it gives the illusion that I just am flushed. And I think that a berry tone is something that a lot of people might like shy away from because they think it's going to be too deep for them. If you're ultra pale, a berry tone is actually like one of the best shades on you. And if you want to dip a toe in the world of berry cheeks, this is a very inexpensive way to go. Again, I really loved the whole release from Florence by Mills. I think it was almost flawless. I can't believe I'm doing this whole video wearing all white. Like, what an idiot. Okay. Gosh, what do we put on after that? We've done primer, foundation, concealer, powder, blush, bronzer, all of my creams, highlighter, cream highlights. Nah, I didn't really come across any cream highlights that I liked better than the one in the Salt palette. I just used the beige one in there because all the rest of them are like gooey. The RMS one is gooey. It pushes my makeup around. It's not my favorite. So let's talk about eyes, shall we? There is one thing that you will probably find is conspicuously absent in me talking about eyes first and foremost because I'm saving it for last because I'm calling it my release of the year, essentially. But we will start with powder eyeshadows. This year, we were all given a gift, and that was truly a perfect clean product, okay? This is Aether Beauty. If you're unfamiliar, last year my palette of the year went to the Urban Decay Born to Run palette because I was so obsessed with a formula that finally made me look like I knew what I was doing. I wore it to my wedding. I loved it so much. The color Smog is perfect. However, as we moved into clean beauty, you know, you find out that Urban Decay, they might not be doing everything right, okay? But it took me a long freaking time to re-encounter a formula that made me look like I knew what I was doing, okay? And I started using this Aether Beauty formula and I was like, oh, somebody knows what the heck they're doing. And then you read this little situation up here, says, hello beautiful, we've removed the mirror and magnets inside to be more sustainable. We strive to make the best sustainable choices in all of our products. And let's be real, you'll probably be using this palette in front of a mirror anyway. By removing the mirror and magnets, it becomes fully recyclable and we're saving this palette from going directly to the landfill. It's a win-win for both you and our Mother Earth. Guys, it's just not that often you come across a product that just hits all the marks, and Aether Beauty just hits all the marks. So I want to say this year, she put out 4 eyeshadow palettes. I'm not totally sure. Some of them, I think maybe Crystal Grid came out last year. I'm not sure that was like her original one, but these 2 were the ones that rose to the top for me, and it is the Rose Quartz Crystal Gemstone palette and the Summer Solstice palette. So after getting a ton of use out of both of these, I can tell you what the actual differences are, because I used to just say, this is a cool tone palette, and if you don't have cool tones in your skin, you're not gonna find this appealing. I don't really think that's true. I think that it's for people who have like neutral leanings and want to be able to build shadow in a really believable way, but most importantly, this is for people who have had trouble finding a palette that's pale enough for you, okay? It's a romantic palette. It's got all these really lovely rosy pinks and stuff in it with some exciting stuff too. This one kind of shifts like blue-brown. It's pretty cool. So there is some excitement in this palette, but the main thing I love about this is as a pale girl, I can use most of these shades right out of the pan. I don't have to mix them with white, okay? Because that's like one of the biggest issues that I have with any pan, and I'm not complaining, any palette. I'm not complaining because I totally understand that I am not the only target consumer for any product, and I understand that like, that's just what a lot of people have to do to match their skin tones, is kind of mix and match. That's why it's called a palette. The idea that this one is so flipping effortless for my skin tone is such a gift. I mean, this shade, and this shade are like every eye look for me. This color right here is the ideal transition shade for me, and I can just have so flipping much fun in this palette. It really never goes poorly, you know? I think that when I first used it, I tried to go into like the grays and stuff because I was like, oh, I need to embrace the cool tones. I kind of ignore those. Like, I think that this in and of itself is like an everyday palette for me, and it still has like the shimmers and the excitement and everything. And again, I need to touch on the formula. Like, the formula is so beautiful. I used so many clean freaking eyeshadows this year that were just like using chalk. They were like dust. They were horrible. And these feel like Urban Decay shadows. They just blend them freaking selves. Like, they just really are so utterly easy. And the difference between the two, in this case, this is gonna be your rusty oranges. Yes, you have like this gorgeous, and they're so soft and blendable. This is one of the only palettes where I can use the shimmers like in my inner corner and stuff because they actually deposit the color without having to move the brush around a whole lot. I know that sounds really tedious, but like if I have to move the brush around a whole lot to get like a bright shade to actually highlight my inner corner, it's gonna get everywhere because I just don't have a lot of real estate right there. And so I end up using usually the Thrive Brilliant Eye Brighteners for that reason. This is one where if I put this on a pencil brush, it actually deposits the color exactly where you want it, and you get an instant glow, and you get this like infinite blendability. And not in the way that it's like dusty and just kind of gets muddy and stuff. Like, it holds true to its color. It's the perfect, I feel like, for me, balance of blendability and pigmentation, and it is so beginner friendly. Now, I will say that for pale girls, The Rose Quartz palette is more beginner friendly for medium toned people who love a warm palette. Like this does not back away from being warm. These are your fall tones. These are your pumpkin spice tones. You know, you have just these really, really gorgeous like burnt oranges and like deep clay colors. I just feel like if you are looking for that like ultimate warm palette, you want it to be clean ingredients, then this is just the way to go. It's so, so beautiful. And a lot of these tones right here kind of move over into like the berries and the magentas. It's like, even though it's summer solstice, I do feel like this lends itself really nicely to people who love to wear like fall tones year round. And there are two more. There is the Crystal Grid, which it looks like a rainbow, but it's not as scary as you think that it is. It really is very, very useful. And there's the Amethyst palette that's for the purple lovers out there. So these two rise to the top for me as far as like practical, like I use them all the time. But the formula itself kind of, you know, is great across all of them. And cream eyeshadows, boy, have we been on an adventure this year with cream eyeshadows. Oh my gosh, Clean Beauty loves cream eyeshadows. Oh my gosh, they love to make a cream eyeshadow and they love to make it suck. They're like, look, it's shiny, it's creamy. You're like, it creases instantly. And I just paid $40 for that. Speaking of very precious amounts of product for the money, this was like an instant holy grail for me. And I know that this is going to be just as controversial as any other cream eyeshadow for whatever reason. My chemistry on my face, these don't crease. Yes, I will put on sometimes a primer underneath them or something like that. There is another clean beauty YouTuber who said that she hated these. I don't really like the Kosas 5-second eyeshadow, 3-second eyeshadow, 10-second eyeshadow, whatever it's called, but like Valeria loves it, says it lasts 19 hours on her. Everybody's different. The Rowan 75-degree warm eyeshadow palette, I love this so much. I have it on my eyes right now. I have the Tati glitter on top of it. But these shades are so beautifully intuitive. They just, they go together so easily. And this coral shade, I'm so glad they went with that choice because that coral shade makes the ultimate like natural blush tone on your skin that will just blend all of them together. You can use the little gold color right here as this perfect little glint, and I find that they don't move around at all on me, and you can blend them with a brush. I just think that they're great. I think they're great. I think that even though it is a very precious kind of thing, which is not always bad, this is still, it's a luxury experience. It has a luxury vibe to me, and I'm really, really glad that I bought it. I've actually gotten more use out of this, and it's so travel friendly than I have out of like a lot of other stuff that I've spent way too much money on. I also need to mention these in the same breath as all of the cream eyeshadows because so many people have asked me the same thing that I struggle with, which is what I was just talking about, how every cream eyeshadow creases and it's so annoying. Now these don't crease. These are the Brilliant Eye Brighteners from Thrive, and it used to just be this shade Stella, and it was just an eye brightener, you know what I mean? And I think they came out with one more pretty closely thereafter, but this is the one I have on my eyes right now, and it's just a really great like universal inner corner and brow highlight, and it doesn't budge, it cooperates, doesn't complain at all, with all different kinds of eyeshadows, cream eyeshadows, powder eyeshadows and stuff. It has dimethicone in it, and so it does like blend down in a really nice way, but still keep its sheen. It's very lightweight on the skin, not oily or greasy at all. It doesn't crease, but then they came out with more shades, and I hope that they just keep expanding it because these are unbelievably beautiful. So Aurora, I want to say, is the other one that they came out that's kind of a rose gold. Like that one happened pretty quickly after Stella, but this Emma is probably the deepest one that they've done so far, and they have one called Miko too, which is pink, but it is this beautiful copper color, and it blends out on the eyes. And I mean, on a deep skin tone, you could just use it as a highlight, but like on someone like me, it like is instant smoky eye, like rock star, cool girl eyeshadow situation. And I like it very, very, very much. These are one of those products from Thrive that I just slept on. You know, I was like, why do I need a stick eyeshadow when I've got perfectly good powder eyeshadows? Thrive. Like, why is this part of your repertoire? before. And now I get it, you know, like it's just a product that's become so indispensable to me because I no longer have to rely on there being the right shade in an eyeshadow palette to make sure I get my highlight needs met. You know, I can just always lean on Stella. Like that's the one that I can always bring to the table and I don't have to worry about it. Oh shoot. Do I have it? Is it sitting here? I'm so smart. I was like, oh, I'm gonna forget to mention that. So eyeliners. Again, there's one that I'm saving because I'm going to be talking about it as release of the year, but this was a great eyeliner. Oh my goodness. So this is the Josephine Beauty, I want to say, Eye Define, and it's brown. And I got this in like a box that was sent to me of just like surprise makeup basically from Pettivore to do not a sponsored video, but like a gifted video, like a partnered video with them and Angela Roy. Super fun video to do. This was the one that was just like so pleasing and over the top lovely for me. And it is this beautiful, consistent, like felt tip kind of, you know, liquid eyeliner, and it's in brown, and it is the most lovely shade of brown, and it doesn't dry down to like a stiletto fakey fake catch the light wrong kind of texture on your eyes. It dries down in still a really, really beautiful way. I found this to be like the first, because it's brown and because it dries in like not matte, but not like crazy patent leather either. It was one of the most wearable liquid eyeliners that I've ever been able to use, because most of the time I find that a liquid eyeliner just looks kind of phony baloney on me. You know, it like instantly goes like, you're trying too hard, you know? It just stands out from everything else on my face because aside from my mascara, I really don't wear anything like super deep in like tonal value on my face because it would just show up in too much contrast. So I put a black liquid eyeliner on and it's just like all you see. So, you know, outside of my like high school scene days, didn't really have a place in my routine, but brown really does, and I liked this so much, and I've continued using it. It makes me feel really beautiful. Let's cover brows and mascara really fast because there are really no changes here, except for this. This is the Eye of Horus Husk Brow Define, and this was a really quick winner for me in terms of eyebrow pencils because of the shade of it. I mean, I love the shade of it all. The formula is delightful. I like it a lot. You know, it warms up on the skin, it moves really nicely, but the main thing is, you know, I was used to using the Audrey pencil from Thrive, and this is very subtle. This is very subtle, and I will still use both. Still have this on hand, and I also use the blonde one too. Can you see the difference there? The Audrey one is distinctly brown, which I don't mind. I like a bold brow, but Husk from Eye of Horus is this color, which isn't brown. It's not blonde either. It's just, like it's just this in-between color, and I like it. I've grown to really like it, but there's no name for this color. It's just kind of like medium, period. I needed something that matched that in my eyebrows. I didn't even know I needed that. And Husk is actually that color. Believe it or not, like when I was a kid, I've always had this hair color. When I was a kid, I painted a self-portrait, and I remember being shocked at how much green I had to mix to make my hair color. There's a lot of green in my hair color. It's odd. Like, so when you look at this in comparison to this, there's actually like a little green undertone, and that's how I guess it makes it work. So anyway, I love both of them, but that Husk one was a revelation. Again, no change here. This is the Boy Brow from Glossier. You know, I'll entertain new contenders, but nothing has even come close in holding my brows and tinting my brows exactly how I want them. In the summer when I'm wearing very, very little makeup, sometimes I will just go with the blonde one, but I've really come back around to brown, and you guys are always telling me, and I love it so much, you guys are always like, I want your eyebrows. I'm like, this keeps them under control. I was blessed with a whole lot of hair over my eyes, but this keeps them tamed, and I really, really love this. It does have beeswax in it, which like keeps everything where it's supposed to be. And you can probably see the other thing that I have in my hand right now because I have to touch on it. You know, anybody who's new here, if this is the first time watching one of my videos, be like, why didn't you talk about mascara? Well, we talked about mascara at length in my fails video because there were so many regrets in terms of the mascaras that I tried this year, but that's because my standards are just so stinking high. So this is the Thrive Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara. The first video I think that I did in 2018, and it was a terrible video, but it's still done really well. This has remained my favorite freaking mascara. It's just been a game changer for me. So if you're unfamiliar with it, it's a tubing mascara. There are plenty of tubing mascaras out there, but this is the one that builds volume the most effectively. So like I've tried Blink, I've tried Glossier. I like the Glossier. Glossier is like this light, but Blink is nice, but it's overpriced. There are a few other ones out there. I can't remember which ones, but that people have told me about, but this is the one that builds the most liquid lash extensions. I mean, the most impact on your eyelashes the fastest. The one complaint that I will hear from people, especially if they have like Asian eyelashes that are just very straight, is that once they bother to curl their eyelashes, this will weigh them back down again. Totally get it. This is maybe not for every single person, but me and my Italian eyelashes get along perfectly well with this, and it's turned me into a snob because I don't ever have to rub my eyes. A tubing mascara isn't waterproof, but it's much more water resistant than a regular mascara. It will never drool down your face or reconstitute when you come in contact with moisture or sweat or something like that. And then when you get in the shower or you wash your face, as long as there is just like warm water that touches your eyes for a minute, then the mascara just comes off your eyelashes in these little sleeves, and it never turns back into liquid. So you never end up with raccoon eyes. You don't have to use eye makeup remover or anything. It's just warm water, and you just kind of work the little sleeves off your lashes. And it's something that I haven't mentioned in a while, but there's consideration taken for all of this. I mean, it's a very luxury experience. You get a good bit of this. This lasts me ages, and it's got like orchid stem cells in it and stuff like that. Like it actually helps with eyelash health, but also the main thing, the big feedback that I get from this, people are like, oh, the lid is weighted. It is. There's weight. There's like a weight in this cap, and it makes it just feel like this really like self-affirming process when you're putting on your mascara. It feels like luxury, and that is why I think it's a perfect product, and I will probably never deviate. Yes, I've tried other mascaras. I do it to appease you guys. You're always like, Kackie, try more mascaras. I'm like, I'll try them, but I've never been surprised. Okay. Still number one. Let's talk lips, and then we will move into my wild card category and my release of the year. So, lips. I have no like color lips to share with you guys because I don't really wear them. I find that lately I am a nude lip liner with a lip gloss kind of person, and I've gotten very passionate about lip glosses, and I've distilled it down to just a few. So, oh, I should mention this. Birthdaybomb.com. I don't know. I just kept this here because I wanted to tell you guys that bomb.com is something that I wear probably the most often. It's like practically part of my skincare routine. I've talked about this before, but they're like in every surface, every pocket, everything of our lives. My husband is also obsessed with them. Like he will wear the birthdaybomb.com. I'm like, your lips are glittery. He's like, I don't care. So yeah. Anyway, so speaking of nude lip liners, one of the most important, amazing, and perfect, I think, releases of this year was the Thrive Lip Filler Lip Liner in the shade Kackie. This was my lip liner, and I mean, of course I think that this is perfect because when else in your life do you get to design your own shade of something, you know? I'm like, I got exactly what I wanted, and so this is that perfect shade of brown right there. So this, I'll actually go ahead and put it on. It's like this perfect shade of like lip contour. And then I like to blend it a little, you know? Makes your lips look a little bit bigger. And then I'll just take something clear and blend it a little bit further. So the two lip glosses that have risen to the top have been these two. This is the Wet Lip Oil from Kosas and the Glossy Lip Mate from Thrive. They also came out with a lip treatment, which is basically this without glitter in it, which is great. It's just a clear gloss. It's fantastic. But the reason that these go to the top and like Patrick Ta doesn't really, and even Glossier doesn't really, I will say like Tower 28, I just started trying them. I hear great things. I haven't had enough time to really like, you know, assess where they fall in this, but these are two that I know absolutely unequivocally won't do that weird mucky white thing around your mouth. Unless you have like actual concealer on your mouth, anything will give you that weird ring after a while if you actually have concealer on your mouth. But these are what Raw Beauty Christy refers to as non-sticky formulas for two different reasons. So the lip oil is going to be, you know, it's definitely a really nice gloss. It is, but it does have a thinner, more oily consistency to it, and it does feel a little bit more like a treatment. And then the Thrive one is just the perfect thin, lightweight gloss. And you'll notice it has like a little bit of like a waterproof quality to it too. Like if you put it on and then you like take a shower or something, you'll notice, you're like, huh, I need a little soap or something to get it off. Like it does have actual like staying power. There's a little bit of technology there. The other shade that I will use to do this with is the Patrick Ta, and She's Proud, but it's been kind of breaking me out around my lips, so I didn't want to necessarily like unequivocally recommend it because I'm like not sure yet how I love the formula, but that shade is really, really nice, and I do like the delivery system. But I don't know, I didn't want to like give you guys like lead you down some kind of primrose path of all of my recommendations for like lipsticks and stuff when I don't wear lipstick, you know? I mean, the Kosas ones are nice. I've tried some really pretty ones. I will often go towards a pigmented lip gloss, but this is really like my everyday, because as soon as I put pigment on my lips, everything else disappears. So I don't think any of you were coming here for my lipstick recommendations anyway. Aside from maybe like Eileen, which is the shade from Thrive that I feel like goes the best with this lip liner. Oh, my nose is running. It must be close to being done. Okay, wild card category. This is something that should be no surprise to you at all. I mention it literally in every video, but the Onami Radical Setting Mist, if this is the first video of mine that you've ever watched, this is my setting spray of life. And I have to say so because I crapped all over Onami in my regrets video. And I just want to say that like there are products in their line that I think are absolutely delightful, and this is one of them. The rest of them fall in their own categories entirely. They are the kinds of things that I use to get me out of trouble in my makeup routine. The first is this. This is the Drunk Elephant De Bronzy Anti-Pollution Sunshine Drops. This is amazing. So in terms of like a cream bronzer, I said I didn't really try very many cream bronzers this year. This one is different than a cream bronzer. You can kind of like dot it on your face. Like I do it with the Hourglass Vanish Stick, and you can blend it and get sort of like, you know, area bronzing, I guess you could say, like specific areas. But more than anything, this is to like adjust your shade that you bought in the winter so you can wear it when you're a little bit tanner in the summer and you don't have like, you know, a glowing white face. Some of us really do change a few shades in the summer, and to be able to adjust it without having to buy another shade in your foundation is indispensable, and this really gets me out of trouble. I like this so much, and it does add a really nice luminosity and like a nice like bronzy quality to it without going orange, without going gray. It's just a beautiful product, and I get really positive feedback from just about everybody who tries this. I don't know how they did it because there's only one shade, but it works. And then there are my little three guys that you might not necessarily see all the time, but they get me out of trouble so much. So the first is the PYT Heartbeat Cheek Color in Exhale. PYT is one of those brands that like not everything's been a home run for me. The main thing here is this shade. Look at it. It's almost flesh colored for me, but it's lavender. It's like pretty distinctly like cool tone nude. When I go in on my blush and I go too hard, which is all the time, I need something to pull it back from the ledge, and this pulls it back from the ledge. I can put this on top of a powder face where I've gone too tan, too bronze, too blush, too red, too pink, too everything, and it will pull everything back down to earth by just casting a muted, cool-toned veil on top of everything in a matte way. There's no shimmer to this. It doesn't even really feel like it adds pigment to my face. It just bails me out of trouble. And I think that something like that is actually like a game changer for your makeup look, you know? To be able to adjust something after the fact instead of going, well, next time I'll get it right. Like having something that can save you after the fact. The next in that same vein is the Well People Bio Base Baked Brightener Universal Glow. So this is a powder, and it has a little bit of like an iridescent, luminescent quality to it, but it's mostly just white translucent, white lucent. I tried this when I did like a Target, you know, like clean beauty, affordable makeup face. All of those words, not in that order, but this was the one that stood out to me. And oddly, like, I also crap all over well people all the time. I was like, I don't want to look like I'm wearing clean beauty, and a lot of their makeup makes me look like I'm wearing clean beauty. This is just one of those standout products that when you have gone too far and you've like lost the brightness, you know, or you need to like really dust things out from underneath your eyes, or you just need to blend things without adding more product, this will do it. You put that on a really nice fluffy brush and you can just kind of work with what you already have. It will also dial back an eye look. It's just a really indispensable thing in my routine. And honestly, it's a good tool for any super pale girl to have in your toolbox because there's just such a high chance that you're gonna end up with too much color on your face at some point. And the last one, again, these are all from brands that I don't necessarily love most of the things that they do, but this was a unique product. So this is the Lily Lolo Mineral Concealer. I couldn't figure out how to use this at all. I was so frustrated by it. I was like, I don't know, am I like one of those people who doesn't understand that there's like this clean beauty hack where I need to mix this with oil? I mixed this powder with so many things to try and get it to work as a concealer, and it was so gross and disappointing. And then I figured out this is basically like the MAC Studio Fix, except it's just not pressed. So when you've gone too far, which is the theme of my wildcard category, this is a concealer that you can put back on top of anything. And it's actually, I got it in the shade Blondie, which is very, very pale. So it can re-brighten any area on your face with just a fluffy brush. Because I'll tend to get like my powder bronzer too far down or too close to my nose or something, or like get eyeshadow all underneath my eye or something. And to be able to take a smaller brush and just doctor what I've done as if I can go back and put concealer back on because it's a mineral powder concealer, it'll really save you in a pinch. I feel like I've really been like belaboring this whole release of the year thing. Let's just do it. So there were a lot of cool releases this year, but I wanted to talk about this one because it was like its own capsule, and you probably know what I'm talking about. And it is the Victoria Beckham Beauty collection. I feel like this video didn't get, I don't know, as much attention as I expected it to for how hyped I felt like I was for this release, because I love a luxury experience. I had very high expectations, okay? These are very expensive products, and I always am willing to put the money down in case something's going to truly blow my mind. There's a lot of makeup out there, and sometimes I'm just like, I get my hopes up that something is going to be like exquisite. It's going to like pleasantly surprise me in a way that I didn't know makeup could. This release did that. So I don't have the lip out here. It's somewhere. I didn't find that the lip necessarily went with my routine as much, but it's still an utterly beautiful product. Even if every single one of these products, like color choices, doesn't work for me, I still find it to be, from a consideration standpoint, a practically perfect release. This eyeshadow palette, I got it in the signature colorway, and I feel like the choices that she made here are so fantastic. Yes, it looks subtle, but they blend like velvet butter. And this like pink shade, I found that it was like indispensable. I love that there is this eyeliner shade. This is the eyeliner shade that I'm wearing right now if you want a really nice soft look. I tend to lean on it quite a bit. This is just one of those very considered, very edited clean beauty releases that I feel like, you know, yeah, it's surprising. It doesn't look like everything else. It is small and precious, you know, but like, I feel like it was for a reason. And I always appreciate when there's a reason. I feel like this individual eyeshadow situation, these, what are they called? The lid luster. Unreal texture, you guys. I mean, just the softest, velvetiest, most interesting, especially for the ingredients. I mean, my goodness. And it's this beautiful, I talked about how I love the shade Smog from Urban Decay. This is what that looks like, except it's just so saturated and creamy and gorgeous. And I have built entire eye looks just around that. And the way that it shifts, God, this like neutral, milky champagne on top of this lovely taupey brown. I remember I was a little freaked out when I first put it on, and then as I like worked with it, I was like, oh wow, okay, I get it. The lip liner is lovely, and then this is like probably, when I say that like I always want to be pleasantly surprised by a product because I didn't know it could be like this Kajal freaking eyeliner. This thing is insane, you guys. It is one of the wildest textures of anything I have ever used. I mean, you can hardly even feel it when you put it down on your skin. The formula is just like nothing else I've ever used. There are so many eyeliners out there that are great, but like, this is exceptional. I think the word that I used in my review for this collection was exquisite. This feels like something so special when you're using it, and she didn't back away from drama. She did give options. It is a very practical release in a lot of ways, but she does give you like a blue, you know, and like a really deep sooty black if you really want that. But I feel like it was tasteful while being adventurous. I feel like it was edited. I feel like the packaging was just so beautiful and considered. And from an ingredient standpoint and all of the different decisions that she made around making it cruelty-free and clean, I just found it to be a winner. And it was like one of the collections I definitely spent the most money on this year. And it was like the one that I probably regretted the least. I was like, this is really, really, really just an excellent release overall. I didn't buy her new primer moisturizer thing. In fact, one of my viewers sent me something. She was like, I don't get it. It's doing something weird on my skin. It's kind of blue. So I'm kind of glad I skipped that. We'll see what happens with her collection next. I would love to see what she would do with a foundation or a concealer. I would love that. But yes, as this actual capsule collection goes, that release was so, so beautiful and so satisfying for me. Do I have anything else to talk about? I'm hoarse. That was the plan. That was the promise. So yeah, I think that that's it. Those are like the ones that rose to the top for me. I still don't feel like that was enough. I feel like we touched so many products this year that I should have more to say, but like the point of this video is not to distill down every single video and like recap it, okay? It is to tell you guys what I thought was worth the money. And these are the products that I think are worth the money that I come back to time and again, and what actually made it into like heavy rotation in my own personal routine. So I hope that you find that valuable. It is really fun having just a smorgasbord of beauty around me at all times, but I find that editing this stuff down does make my brain feel a lot clearer. So it was healthy for me too. I'm gonna be decluttering a lot of stuff now that it's the end of the year. Look forward to my next video. It's going to be where we've landed. I really feel like I have to do one more kind of culminating discussion because we made it a whole year doing almost entirely clean beauty. I think that the Tati palette was like the only exception. I should mention the Tati palette. I am wearing it on my eyes right now. I do love the glitters. I don't feel like it made it into my routine as much as I would have wanted it to, just because it's so warm and so intense. So yeah, that's, if you guys were like, where's the Tati palette? That's why. It just, for practical reasons, it's just not something I reach for that often. It's very pretty. I'm glad that I supported her. It's a cool thing to have, but like, it's just not an everyday palette for me. Anyway, yes, I'm going to basically do a recap of like where I feel like I have been over this year and all the ways that we've grown on this channel and the things that we've learned and where I want to go in 2020. A lot of you guys probably already have an idea, but I've talked to a lot of you individually about like what you want to see from my channel in the coming year. And there's a lot of other really cool stuff that I'm going to be able to like surprise you with. Definitely, if you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. But if you are new here, or if you've been watching for a while and you're not subscribed, maybe consider subscribing while you're here. We have a lot of fun. So guys, thank you so much for joining and for hanging out with me for this whole freaking video. If you made it all the way to the end, comment a trophy. You did it. We all did it. We made it, guys. Oh. This is one of the videos that I build up for so much, and I'm so excited to do it, but I'm also nervous to do it, and it feels really nice to have it done. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I love you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.